Hello. When you read somebody else's email or post, do you think AI wrote that? I see it all the time when I'm reviewing client content. Right off the bat, I know it's written by AI. The content isn't bad, it's just generic and it sounds like everyone else. Today, I'm showing you a simple 3-question gut check that tells you immediately if your content is still actually yours or if AI has taken over. These questions are quick, they're simple, they're practical, and I want to walk through them and some real examples about how we can fix this problem. So, I love AI. My name is Heather Cameron, and I help women entrepreneurs grow businesses that are truly and authentically them. And AI is stripping people of this. So, I love AI. I use AI all the time. I think it is a great thing to enhance what we do from a working perspective. Um, However, it is super easy to lose your voice. And I'm just going to move something over a little bit. It is super easy to lose your voice with AI. And I see it all the time. And I really want to ask you, do you see it as the same? I was just reading somebody's swipe copy for something that I'm going to be promoting. And right off the bat, reading that swipe copy, I know it's written by AI. So, some of the things that are out there that we all know kind of exist and kind of highlight that AI is writing it is with a lot of EM dashes, or even if you used to write for them, you almost don't anymore. The second thing that's coming up with AI that's really getting in the way or showing is just a very flatness or tone. And it's just not the way that we would write. And the problem and the reason this happens is actually the way AI is designed. But you can feel this tone. You can feel that there's kind of like a flattening of a message. There's the uniqueness is peeled out. Marketing standards are thrown into it, and it just starts to sound very generic. Even if your message is unique, AI tends to strip it down to this generic thing. So, number one, why is this happening? And it's happening because AI is designed to continually improve. That's its point. You give it some copy and it's going to continue to improve and to improve and to improve. And that can be a trap that you can go down where you start to get into this. Got to be perfect. And you're listening to AI and it kind of gets in your head and you're creating different editions and more editions. And that happens to me sometimes where I'm working with AI to create or update an email, and it starts to get into this continuous improvement. And I have to stop myself because I have a real need to get things right. And so I have to stop myself and say, wait a sec, where are we losing me? How am I getting diluted in this? So that's part of what happens. But AI is looking at all the information out there about best marketing practices and how to write stuff. And then it's going to continually ask you to improve. And you know this, if you use AI at all, you'll put something in and at the end it'll say, would you like me to do this? And it's so easy to follow that thread. And by following that thread, we are losing ourselves. And don't get me wrong, I love AI. I'm very open about this. I am dyslexic, so AI is a gift to me. It really makes a lot of my writing so much easier because it finds the things that I would do incorrectly as a dyslexic person. So AI can be a gift, but not when it feeds into this need to continually improve it. And why is this happening? That's the reason AI is doing it, but what role are we playing in having AI do this to our businesses? And there's really 2 big reasons this sounds off, why our content ends up being turned off by AI. Number 1 is we're not giving AI enough input into what we want. And so really creating some fundamentals, pieces of information that you put into AI every time you use it, no matter what AI you use. So you're directing it before it even starts. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about later on this month. But the second reason is accepting what AI gives you without questioning it. And I see this a lot, particularly when I'm working with clients or other people. It'll be like, did you check? Did you do a gut check before you hit publish? Did you take this great input that AI gave you and you threw it into an email or you threw it into a post and you just put it out there because AI is making it better, and you didn't do a gut check to say, yes, this is what it is. This is what it should be. Sorry, I was just checking to see if there are any messages on my phone in this conversation from YouTube. But are you doing a gut check? Are you saying, is this how I would say it? Have I kept with my initial voice? And is this what I want to publish? And that's what always happens with my clients. They'll do something, they'll put it together, they'll give it to me to review before they hit publish. And I will ask those questions for them because I can tell right away they've been stripped away from it. That uniqueness. So AI is not intended to highlight your uniqueness. It's actually intended to make you like everybody else. And that's that perfectionist thing. And that's why AI content, that's why content seems so off and why it feels like AI wrote it instead of the person who actually wrote it, even if the ideas in it are unique. So it takes some work and some practice on your own way to really focus in making sure AI is writing it in your own voice. But before you hit publish, I want you to consider these 3 questions. It's that gut check. Number 1, does it sound like me? Is this how I actually speak? It's a great question. I use that one a lot. I have as I've mentioned before, I have my core coaching business and strategy business, but I also have a summit and a membership in the scrapbooking space with a friend. And when we write stuff, I'll always ask her, would you actually say that? Is that something you would actually say? And I will say almost 8 out of 10 times the answer is going to be no. I wouldn't say it that way, but it sounds good. I'm like, no, this isn't about sounding good. This is about being authentic and being us. And so taking what AI gives you and asking, would I say it that way? And the answer is no. Then you got to put in how you would say it, because that's what's going to make you stand out in this AI driven world. So the first question is, does it sound like me? And would I actually say it? Just because AI is working and telling you this best practices, you need to put it in your own tone and how you would actually say it. Even when you're being given, if you know what swipe copy is, it's usually if you're promoting somebody else's event or product or anything like that as an affiliate, they often give you swipe copy. And you can take that swipe copy, just update it to your own stuff and then put it in, or you can turn it into your own voice, which is what we do. Because swipe copy that's not in our own voice isn't going to be authentic to our audience. It's not going to connect with them. We have built an audience with a particular voice. We all do that. You build your audience, and I mean your emails, your social media followers, they come for your unique voice, not perfect marketing. And so always ask that question before you hit publish. Would I speak this way? Would I actually say that? And there's many other questions you can ask, but this is really about making sure that you are not giving AI too much control over your content and over what you're posting. So the second question is this what I'm actually trying to say? So has your message, when you first sat down with your computer and you started to say, I'd like to do an email that's about this, could you help me write it? Has your topic actually been taken off of topic? Is this what I'm actually trying to say? Has AI driven me with all this perfections away from what I actually want to say? And number 3 is, would my clients recognize this as mine? It's a really powerful question. Would my clients or my list or my prospects actually recognize this as something that is me? Is there enough me in this to go? And it's a balance to figure this out, a balance between taking your content that might not be doing the things you want and moving it up a level in the sense that it's marketing better, it's landing better, it's more effective, and maintaining your voice. There's a balance in there. As an example, if I'm I just did a mini campaign for my Coach in Your Pocket program, and I took emails I wrote long before AI was around, and I filtered them into AI, and I said, how can we update this? And it took me down a path. And at one point where I said, stop. These are my emails. Tell me why what I gave you wasn't good enough. And the answer back was, well, it is good enough, but I'm just doing my job and I'm continually trying to improve it. So instead of rewriting what actually was good enough, it was, okay, how do we move them from emails that I wrote in 2022 was the ones I started with, emails I wrote in 2022, and bring it on message to the shifts that I've made in my business messaging. How I really embrace what I call the bistro model, which is that hands-on, like a very unique experience for my clients to work with me. How do I turn that into these emails, but still use the messages that I want to say, not the messages that AI wants to say? And so having that discipline of asking these questions to yourself, and you're not going to hit it every time. I'm sure there's emails that I put out. If you're on my email list and you're listening to this, I'm sure there's copy that you're like, AI helped Heather write that. And yes, it did. But I work really hard to take it and use my message and get my voice in there. So does this sound like me? If it doesn't sound like me, we're going to rewrite it. Would I actually say it this way? And I wouldn't. And then, is this what I'm actually trying to say? So have I stayed on message? And sometimes it's not. And sometimes I will work to really work that back to what are my key messages and ask that question even to A. Hey, are we still on topic? Are we saying what I actually wanted to say? And would my clients or my prospects, my list, my community actually recognize this as mine? And those gut check questions will anchor your content, will create content that actually still speaks of you, as well as using the power of AI. I love AI. So we want to have these gut check questions so that we're not sounding generic, so that we're not sounding like everybody else. So our message, which was like, when we're really on message and we're passionate about what we talk about, there's an energy that comes into it. And AI's desire to make things perfect will strip that away unless you do the two things that you need to do. One, which I'm going to talk about later on in this month, which is making sure that you have the input, that you're putting in the right things into AI so that you're actually creating the content that's going to work for you. And then secondly, after you've even done that, after you've built it. So for example, I use Claude a lot for what I do. I use between ChatGPT and Claude are my two that I use for content creation. I use Gemini for other stuff. Claude has a function called a project if you're paying for it. And when you have your project, you can upload a whole bunch of content to it. So that's what we're going to be talking about later on this month, about how you do that. But even with all that content in that, even with giving it old emails, it can still take you off track. And so these gut checks are really important to have, no matter how well you train AI, no matter how great your prompts are. So if you're someone who's done a lot of work in AI and you've created your own prompts and you're using, even if you're using like a custom chat, even if you're doing a custom GPT, all of that stuff, even if you've done all of that, you still need the gut check. You still need a very simple gut check that says, is this me? Does this sound like me? Would I actually say that? Is this what I'm actually trying to say? Which is different than what I actually say that and what I'm trying to say, right? Because one is taking you out of your natural cadence, your natural language. And then, would my clients recognize this as mine? So take those questions, write them down, use them as much as you possibly can in any time. Yes, it adds a bit of time, but it keeps your voice. You will stand out in this world. I anticipate in 2026, what's going to happen is that this mass of people are using AI now. And so there's going to be a whole bunch of business owners who are sitting in that, I used AI, it smoothed me out. Yes, it sounds great. And they're publishing it and they're staying in that generic, it sounds like everybody else. And then there are going to be the people who take control of AI, who really say, love you, you're a great tool, I'm going to use you because you save me so much time. And are going to use these gut checks, are going to ask themselves, does this sound like me? Is this what I wanted to say? They're going to learn how to control AI in a way that preserves who they are, but empowers them. I think AI is a gift to business owners. I really do. But if we don't control it and we let it control us in the sense of driving us to this perfection that it is only establishing by all the inputs that are out there, we're going to go off track. And it's, like I said, it's happened to me. It's happened to my clients. It's happened to, I'm working with one client who's been around for a while. And when she shows me her content or when I read her content, I'm like, I will point out to her, you need to put more of you back into this. You need to be more you and not so much perfect, because we aren't perfect. No one's perfect, right? And so that's, I think, the drawback with AI is it's driving to perfection. And it's not perfect. And I'm going to teach some other tricks that really help you evaluate what AI is doing. And we want to balance, particularly if we're creating content. So the description down below this video was written by me plus AI. We want to balance, because I will write it, but I will go into AI and say, what do I need to tweak to make this YouTube discovery? Where am I going to get kind of in the case of YouTube SEO, search engine optimization, or YouTube optimized? What do I need to tweak, right? And titles and your first 200 characters, I think, are important. And so it will help me do that. But I will tell you, the difference between different AIs will be different, but it still needs to be you. And so that's what I want to impart on you today. Do the gut checks. Make sure that you are checking your content with your own self. Is it me? Would I say this? Would my clients recognize this as me? And am I staying to the topic I actually wanted to say in the first place? Just those three questions every single time that you put it out there will keep you more on track to who you are. Your audience will recognize it. They won't be going, oh, AI wrote this. And I would add another one, which is not what I was going to talk about today, but I do want to put it in there because I've just seen this happen, is recognize that you're staying in your tone or messaging. I have a real belief in positive marketing. I don't want to do a lot of negative marketing when I do that. So I don't want to say, aren't you feeling terrible? X and X isn't working and you're frustrated. There's an element of that because we have to address where you are. But focusing on it and really like needling it is a very strong marketing technique. And it's a marketing technique that AI has totally embraced. And so I have seen people's message switch more to that, and it's not on brand for them. So the messaging might be on brand for someone else, but it's not on brand to them. And in particular, it's very misaligned. And so again, sometimes AI is trying to use these principles that come out in marketing 101, and they're not aligned with your brand. They're not aligned with your voice. And that's why that gut check can help as well. Is like, whoa, AI will always put in this kind of a negative tone in my marketing, and I will go, excuse me, let's take that out because I don't want to focus on negative in marketing. It's not something I enjoy doing. There's a way to do it without creating and making people feel they're not in the right place. And so check that. If that's your brand, and I'm not saying if your brand has an element of that, then that's fine. Continue with it. But if your brand doesn't, if your brand voice is not that, then we don't want that. And that's the second part of the AI kind of checking and make sure it's working for you, is to really get it to know your brand. And that's what I'll be talking about later on this month. But anyways, those are the 3 questions. They're powerful. Check them out. Try them. Let me know how that works for you if you're trying them, and see what it changes for you. It can really shift things. And if you're a woman entrepreneur and you would like to come and join me on Mondays, I do something called the Bistro Bite. And it's an opportunity for women entrepreneurs to get together Monday morning to chat about different things. We always have a little bit of a topic to set your intentions for the week so that you are being productive and you're getting to meet other women entrepreneurs around the world. The link is in the comments. I think it's Ignite Your Markets Bistro Bite. Come and join, see how it is. I would love to see you there. And I'll be back next week with more about how do we take control of AI? How do we make this amazing set of tools, because there's hundreds and thousands of them out there these days, work for us, not change how we work. Thank you very much. Bye.